Are you ready for a little bit of Q&A? We'll get some of the questions answered from the prior episodes. Just sit back and get ready for some interesting answers and a little bit of fun. Welcome to Mystical Journeys with Jase. The name of today's episode is going to be Off the Cuff. What we're going to do today is just answer a few questions that keep popping up. So, what I want to do is I'm going to ask the question from somebody who gave it to me, and I'll give my response. So, here goes. Jase, you about the neutral approach a lot, but honestly, how do you stay neutral when somebody's really pushing your buttons in the moment? Like, what do you do actually in real life? I think one thing that's important to realize is in an earlier episode, I talked about the force of neutral, and that force was also the force of withdrawing energy. So, once you have to withdraw the energy from the situation, it'll end up making things a little bit easier. When a person is hitting your buttons, remember, they're trying to get a response from you and they may want to argue with you or do something like that. And if you withdraw that energy, you start to withdraw from the argument. You start to withdraw from that dynamic. Now, I'm not saying go ahead and never talk to this person again. That is definitely not healthy either. But the power of negativity that's caused by that force, you don't want to get that engaged because then you're causing a whole host of new problems for yourself. One of the important things to do is just learn how to keep your energy intact. So, what I'm saying is pull back from the mindset of the things from before. All right, here comes the next question. I tried the breathing meditation, but I keep getting distracted and my mind kept wandering. Am I doing it wrong? Does it actually work for you personally? Okay. I've done some meditation from time to time and it works for a lot of people. I think the main thing about it is learning how to let your brain just get a break at what ends up happening. And then you can let your thoughts go down to just a nice calm state of being. And once you get into that state, that's where a lot of healing can begin. And you can give your body a chance to take a little break from everything. Your mind taking a break. Yes, that's a good one. In some of the Buddhist teachings, they will say that meditation is medicine for the mind. Does it work for me personally? Yeah, I use it often enough. I'm kind of lucky because where I work at, there's a small little room which we have a little thing called a wellness room. And it just gives you some time to relax and clear your thoughts, clear your thinking. You get into a darkened room and you definitely lower your stress level. People also need just some private time. It just gives you a chance to kind of relax and sit in a somewhat calm space that you may not have during the day. And that's something to kind of keep in mind is always create a place in your life for where you can do some of your spiritual work. Find a corner of your home where it's kind of calm and kind of quiet. Yep. Even if you're in a busy intersection at a city, try to find the calmest corner of your house and go there, relax, do your meditations there, as well as any other type of spiritual work you plan on doing. Jace, you said the expectations are stories we tell ourselves, but what if the other person really is wrong and my expectation is completely justified? How do I know the difference? That's an important one. Remember, you set an expectation for somebody else, okay? Like if you say, I expect this person to be there at 9 o'clock and it's your child or something like that, and they didn't show up until 10. Well, first off, you got to take a look at did you actually make that agreement with them? And when you set that expectation, did you set it with them properly? I found that a lot of times it ends up being that you've got to get clear with people. When you set a clear expectation with somebody and you enter into an agreement, it makes things a heck of a lot easier. All right, let me give you a good example of this one. My wife was kind of upset at me at one point because she made some food the one night and she expected me to eat it. Well, I ended up eating something else because I didn't realize that that was the food that was for me. I thought it was for somebody else. Okay, so what ended up happening was my wife was kind of salty the next day. We ended up having a talk. Talk didn't go so well. And that's when I found out that she'd set an expectation for me to eat the food last night. And I didn't. I chose something else. I ended up talking to her about it because I do care a lot about her. Well, what ended up happening is we went into a discussion and we came out with an agreement that if she leaves something out there for me at night, then that's definitely the meal that she cooked for us for the evening. So what ended up happening was it was bad communication on both of our parts. When we both had an agreement and we both agreed to what she was going to do with the food and also to let me know that this was for dinner that night, that's when everything started to work out. Needless to say, her cooking's still great, and we removed a couple fights for the future. All right, here comes the next question. I want to set an agreement with somebody in my life, but I'm scared of how they will react. What if bringing it up makes things worse instead of better? Hmm. Okay, you know what? That actually can happen. Is sometimes people they're going to take things personal no matter what you end up doing. And the important thing about it is you've got to keep up the dialogue. You've got to work out what you want from that person and maybe even start with them. Ask them what expectations they want to have of you. Keep it very simple so that you guys both come into an agreement. And I've got a question for you. What are you going to do if it makes your life better? There's a good one. Jase, do you still struggle with stress yourself? Like, does any of this stuff actually work for you, or does it just sound good on a podcast? That's a good one. I'm just gonna say it's kind of simple. Is I do my best to share only what works. I have a saying: the proof's in the results. One of the best things you can do is when you go through some of the techniques and you listen to the podcast and you go with some of the things that I ask you to do and to try out and things like that. See if it actually improves your life. Maybe even if it just improves your day. Just try to let it sink in, let it work a little bit. Because one of the most important things about this is at the beginning here, I'm trying to lay the groundwork for everything else. If we can clear up some of the nonsense and some of the day to day jazz that is causing you some imbalance, it's going to create a lot of room for you for a lot of wonderful spiritual growth for you in the future. All right. Hope that helps. All right. Here comes the next question. I'm around a sibling, and when I have to deal with her, it ends up being very negative experience. Most of the time, I end up spending hours. Then afterwards, I'm pretty wiped out. What should I do? Okay, there's a good one right there. Remember, one thing is that we do have life force, and you can feel yourself pretty drained when you're around somebody. You can also end up feeling really down, very depressed, maybe even very, very angry. Okay. So, what you want to do is you want to use the power of neutral. And the best thing to do at that point is think about it for a second. You spend an hour, and then you know you're going to feel pretty bad. So, like I've said before, turn down that running faucet of water. Only give that person, instead of an hour, just give them 10 minutes of your time and say to them, hey, you know what? I got to go. I got some things to do. And then they'll say, oh, okay, no problem. And stick to it. You've got to do some things for yourself. It could be just as simple as disconnecting from them in that conversation. And guess what? You just got yourself 50 minutes back. And you know what else happened? Is a whole lot less garbage is sticking to you because of that last encounter. Okay, here comes the next question. So, what's your plan for some of the future episodes? And why did you start a podcast like this? Okay, let me just do the second part first. I think one of the hardest things for people to understand is at the beginning, you've already got so many distractions, so many things going on in your life that it's really hard to get spiritual. If you focus on only doing energy work or meditation or any of the other things that are going on, that could actually lead you out of doing the things you really need to do to clear up all your insides. Get everything in order first. It makes things, as far as the spiritual realm, go a little bit easier. That reminds me of something my mother once told me. She said, every so often you got to clean up the kitchen first so you can make a nice meal and eat it. And I got to say, I have to agree with that one. Anyhow, let me get to some of these new episodes. We're going to get into some energy work and discuss about past lives and their effect on you. I'm going to share a lot of experiences that I've had, and I'm also going to share some experiences that other people have had. I have at least another 100 episodes in me, and I don't think I'm going to be slowing down for a long time. Where did you get your calling and when? From time to time, I get this question from some of my students. Sometimes it's a bit of a tricky answer because it seems like I've had several places in my life where I've had a calling and I followed them. And it also led me to so much more. I guess one important part would be I came really close to dying of a pneumonia and I was in a hospital for a week. And I can definitely say that I saw my life flash right before my eyes. And after that, I started to notice things were quite a bit different because I'd made a pact with the universe that I would continue to learn and grow and get through all this. I'll get into that in a future episode because I'd like to give some details on that and also some of the ways that I connected into everything and the results that I got from doing it. Here's a question. Jace, did you ever find your soulmate? Yeah, I definitely did. In fact, actually, I'm really hoping that I'll be able to talk her into joining me on an episode and then we can both talk about our journey together. And one more question is you mentioned at times about abundance and things like that. Yes, I've definitely can say that I can speak on abundance because I've generated, many times money that I needed for things. And as far as it coming in different forms, and a lot of it ends up being just getting yourself out of the way to begin with, and then being very open to all the situations and energies that can flow towards you. That's really the main thing about it. But I'm going to do an entire episode and we're going to go through some exercises for it. Especially, I'm going to correct a few of the things that are said by a lot of people that really they sound nice, but they really don't generate a whole lot. So, anyhow, that'll help you out a lot with your life, and I'm looking forward to doing that one. All right, Jace, what do you get out of this? Well, I think that that's something to remind everyone of is when I'm sharing any knowledge that I share with people and helping them with their experiences and their evolution, guess what happens? I get to hear it too. It helps me to become more expansive. It helps me to be able to do a lot of things. It helps me to be able to clarify some things. It helps me to think of things in different ways. So I get a pretty good benefit out of this too. And my favorite benefit out of it is getting better at the ability to share it with people. So people like you who are trying to learn things and trying to move on and try to make a better life for yourself. You know what? I'm going to do my best so that you can become your best. I hope that answers that question. Okay, here's a question. Jace, how can I reach out to you directly? Well, there's a couple of ways to do that. First off, I've got a website. It's Mystical Journeys with Jase, and that's JASE.com. I also have a Facebook page, which is the same name. Lastly, I also teach at some conferences periodically, and I teach other things during the year. So those are some places that you can catch up with me. I will post them on the website. Here's another question. Someone asked me, where did I get my start on all of this? And was that because of the illness that I had when I was 17? Well, I have to say that that illness definitely set me in motion on a lot of things. But I also have to say that many of the people I've talked with and trained over the years, they've developed as good abilities as I have and even better. The important part to realize is with your abilities is you're always growing. And it's important to clear things out of your life so that you can continue to grow. Removing a lot of distractions from your life really helps a lot. And getting with others really helps a lot as well. I hope that answers that one. Okay, here's the last question. So, what does the future hold for some of the next podcasts? Well, that's going to get kind of interesting because at the beginning here, I've tried to build a foundation that most people don't have. And a lot of people really don't get an opportunity to build an actual foundation, especially if they're alone. The next couple of things I'm going to get into are some more techniques. We'll be getting into some grounding, start to talk a little bit about past lives and accessing them, how to use your intuition in different situations. I'm also going to get all the way up to doing some things in shamanism and explaining, some of the core concepts of that as well. There's going to be a lot coming forward. And in a prior episode, I mentioned I probably have about another 100 podcasts in me. I actually do, but each one of them is going to continue to build on the next. It's not going to be a lot of fluff. So I really hope to keep the content good. And I think that should really help a lot of things out. Okay. Well, if you've enjoyed today's podcast, first off, thanks for everybody who gave me the questions. It was a lot of fun thinking them through to make sure I can answer them properly. Remember, please hit that follow button so that you'll get a chance to see the episodes as they drop. Especially make sure that you hit the follow on your favorite podcasting. That way it drops into your library right away. Also, one other thing too, please definitely sign up on the website because website, I created a workbook that handles all of the first group of episodes. And the workbook turned out really surprisingly good. And I think that a lot of people are getting a lot out of it. I had some people check it out and they were speaking really highly of it. So I must have hit the mark with it. Please sign in there. Won't be any spam. It's just basically so you can get the workbook. I can keep you up on what events are coming up and things like that. Thank you for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.